How to break bad habits and create a new you. Ever feel like you're stuck on a hamster wheel? You tell yourself, tomorrow I'll eat better, or this week I'll definitely start exercising, or I've got to stop wasting so much time on my phone. But tomorrow comes, and you find yourself doing the exact same thing. It feels like a battle of willpower, a fight you keep losing. But what if I told you it has very little to do with willpower? What if it's not about being lazy or undisciplined? Our lives are built on habits, tiny automatic behaviors that we perform without even thinking. They are the invisible architects of our daily lives. Some build us up, and others quietly tear us down. This book isn't about becoming a perfect, hyper-productive robot. It's about understanding the simple mechanics of your own mind. It's a practical guide to deconstructing the habits that hold you back and building the ones that will set you free. We're not going to just talk about change. We are going to build a roadmap to a new you, one small step at a time. Let's begin. Before we dive in, I have a question for you, and I'd love for you to pause for a moment and share your answer in the comments below. What is one small, almost silly habit that you have, good or bad, that you do every single day without fail? Maybe it's the way you put your socks on, or a specific route you take on a walk. Let me know down below. It'll be interesting to see the little automatic programs we all run. Chapter 1. The autopilot in your brain. Have you ever had this experience? You get in your car to drive home from work, a journey you've made hundreds, maybe thousands of times. You start the engine, pull out onto the road, and the next thing you know, you're turning into your own driveway. You have arrived safely, but you have almost no memory of the trip itself. You can't recall the specific turns you made, the traffic lights you stopped at, or the cars you passed. Your hands were on the wheel, your feet worked the pedals. But your mind, well, your mind was somewhere else entirely. It was rehashing a conversation from the office, planning what to make for dinner, or worrying about a bill that needs to be paid. During that entire drive, you were being piloted by an invisible force. You were on autopilot. This, in its most pure and simple form, is the power of a habit. This autopilot mode is not a flaw in your design. It's not a sign of weakness or a lack of focus. In fact, it is one of the most brilliant features of the human brain. Think about the sheer amount of information and decisions you face every single day. From the moment you wake up, your brain is bombarded. What should I wear? What should I eat for breakfast? Which way should I brush my teeth first? Do I need to answer that email now or later? If you had to consciously think through every single one of these tiny actions, you would be utterly exhausted by 9 in the morning. Your brain would be like a computer with too many programs open, slowing to a crawl until it eventually freezes. So, to prevent this from happening, your brain is a master of efficiency. It loves to create shortcuts. When it recognizes that you are doing a sequence of actions over and over again, it says to itself, I see what's happening here. I know this pattern. I can take over from here. You go ahead and think about something else. It then bundles that sequence of actions into a neat little package, a habit, and files it away in a deeper, more ancient part of the brain. This process is called chunking, and it's the brain's way of freeing up your conscious mind to focus on new problems, to be creative, and to handle the unexpected challenges life throws at you. This is why you can tie your shoes while talking to someone, or walk down the street while sipping a coffee. You don't have to think, first I make a loop, then I wrap the other lace around it, then I push it through the hole. You just do it. Your brain has automated the process. It's a miracle of biological engineering. But here is the crucial point, the part that explains why so many of us feel stuck. Your brain, in its quest for efficiency, does not make a judgment call on whether a habit is good or bad. It doesn't care if the automated routine is taking you closer to your dreams or deeper into a rut. Its only criteria for creating a habit is repetition and reward. If you repeatedly do something, and it provides some form of payoff, your brain will work to make it automatic. It will happily and efficiently automate the process of going to the gym every morning, just as it will automate the process of grabbing a pint of ice cream from the freezer every night when you feel stressed. It treats both actions exactly the same. It is an impartial and powerful engine. The problem isn't the engine itself. The problem is that we have unknowingly allowed it to build superhighways leading to destinations we don't want to go to. Our bad habits are not a moral failing. They are simply a case of a brilliant system being programmed with the wrong instructions. The purpose of this chapter, and indeed this entire book, is to show you how to get into the control room to understand the programming language of your mind, and to start deliberately and consciously rewriting the code. Your life is not a runaway train. You just need to learn how to work the controls. And it all begins with understanding a simple three-step pattern that is running behind the scenes of almost everything you do. This hidden pattern was brought into the light by researchers at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, or MIT, a few decades ago. They were studying the science of habit formation, and their experiments, though they often involved rats in mazes, uncovered a fundamental truth about how all mammals, including us, operate. They identified a simple neurological loop that is at the core of every single habit. It consists of three parts: 1, the cue; 2, the routine; and 3, the reward. Let's call it the habit loop. This three-part framework is the secret code behind your actions. Once you learn to see it, you will start seeing it everywhere in your own life and in the lives of those around you. It is the key that unlocks the mystery of your behavior. Let's break it down. The first step is the cue. The cue is the trigger. It's the spark that tells your brain to go into autopilot mode and which habit to use. Cues can be almost anything. It could be a time of day, like that 3 p.m. energy slump you feel at your desk. It could be a specific place, like the moment you walk into your kitchen. It could be an emotional state, such as feeling stressed, anxious, or bored. It could be the presence of certain people or a preceding action, like finishing a meal. A notification sound from your phone is a cue. The smell of coffee brewing is a cue. Seeing a bag of chips in the pantry is a cue. The cue is the starting pistol that sets the whole automatic process in motion. Without a cue, a habit never begins. The second step is the routine. This is the habit itself, the physical, mental, or emotional action you take. It's the behavior you are most aware of, and usually the one you want to change. If the cue is the 3 p.m. slump, the routine might be to walk to the vending machine and buy a sugary snack. If the cue is the sound of a notification, the routine is to pick up your phone and start scrolling. If the cue is feeling stressed after a long day, the routine might be to pour a glass of wine or turn on the television for hours. The routine is the part of the loop that is most visible, but it is not the most powerful. It is simply the vehicle that gets you from the cue to the final, and most important, step. The third step is the reward. This is the payoff. It's the reason your brain decides that this particular loop is worth remembering and repeating in the future. The reward is what satisfies the craving that the cue created. For the 3 p.m. snack habit, the reward isn't just the taste of the chocolate bar, it's the jolt of sugar and energy that makes you feel more alert. For the phone habit, the reward is a burst of novelty, a hit of social connection, or a momentary distraction from a task you find boring. For the glass of wine, the reward is the feeling of relaxation, the unwinding of tension from your shoulders. The reward is the powerful feedback mechanism that tells your brain, hey, that worked. When this cue happens again, let's do that routine to get this great feeling. Every time you complete the loop, you strengthen the neurological connection between the cue, the routine, and the reward, making the habit more and more automatic. Let's look at a very common example, the habit of checking your phone first thing in the morning. For millions of us, the moment we open our eyes is the cue. Before our conscious mind is even fully booted up, our subconscious autopilot is already in control. The routine is to reach for the phone on the nightstand, unlock it, and begin scrolling through emails, news headlines, and social media feeds. What's the reward? It's a cocktail of rewards, actually. It's a hit of information that satisfies our brain's desire to know what's going on, to feel connected to the world. It's a distraction from the thought of having to get out of our warm bed and face the day. It's a feeling of productivity, even if it's a false one, because we are catching up on things. Because this loop is completed day after day, the connection becomes incredibly strong. The urge to reach for the phone when the cue, waking up, arrives feels less like a choice and more like a compulsion. It has become a deeply ingrained habit. The true genius of understanding the habit loop is realizing that to change a habit, you cannot simply focus on the routine. Trying to stop a bad habit through sheer willpower is like trying to dam a river with your bare hands. The force of the cue and the pull of the reward are too powerful. You can fight it for a while, but eventually you'll get tired and the water will break through. The real secret, the art of habit change that we will explore in later chapters, is not in resisting the routine, but in dissecting the loop. You have to become a detective and figure out what the true cue is and what the true reward is that your brain is craving. Let's think about a habit like smoking. On the surface, the routine is smoking a cigarette, but the reward is rarely just about the nicotine. A smoker might have a cigarette with their morning coffee. In this case, the cue is the coffee, the routine is the cigarette, but the reward might be the feeling of a completed morning ritual, a moment of quiet contemplation before the day begins. Another smoker might only smoke when they are out with friends at a bar. Here the cue is the social situation, and the reward is a feeling of belonging, of connection with the group. A third smoker might light up whenever they face a stressful deadline at work. The cue is anxiety, and the reward is a momentary escape, a 5-minute break from the pressure. All three people are performing the same routine, smoking a cigarette, but they are driven by entirely different cues and are seeking entirely different rewards. If they all tried to quit using the same strategy, it would be unlikely to work for all of them. The person seeking a ritual needs a new ritual. The person seeking social connection needs a new way to connect. The person seeking stress relief needs a new coping mechanism. This is why generic advice so often fails. Just eat less and move more is useless advice for someone whose overeating habit is triggered by loneliness and rewarded by a feeling of comfort. The cookie isn't just a cookie, it's a solution to an emotional problem. The endless scrolling isn't just about looking at pictures, it's a solution for the discomfort of boredom. To break the spell of a bad habit, you have to understand what problem it is actually solving for you. So where does this leave us right now at the end of our first chapter? It leaves us with a mission, a simple but profoundly important one. For the next 3 days, I don't want you to try to change a single thing. I want you to put away all thoughts of fixing yourself or breaking your bad habits. Your only job is to become a scientist of your own life. You are going to be an observer, a detective, gathering clues about one specific habit that you would like to eventually change. Choose one. It could be biting your nails, snacking when you're not hungry, procrastinating on an important task by watching videos, or complaining. Pick just one. Now for the next 3 days, every time you catch yourself doing that routine, I want you to take out a small notebook or open a note-taking app on your phone and answer 5 simple questions. This is not about judging yourself. Let me repeat that. This is not about feeling guilty or ashamed. Shame is the enemy of change. This is about curiosity. You are gathering data with the cool, detached curiosity of a scientist observing an interesting phenomenon. The 5 questions are: 1. Where am I? Note your physical location: at my desk, in the car, on the couch, in the living room. 2. What time is it? Be specific. 3. What is my emotional state? Am I happy, sad, bored, stressed, anxious, tired? 4. Who else is around? Am I alone, with my partner, with my colleagues? 5. What action immediately preceded the urge? Did I just finish a meal? Did I just get a difficult email? Did I just hang up the phone? By writing this down, each time the habit occurs, you are doing something incredibly powerful. You are shining a light of awareness on what was previously an unconscious process. You are looking for a pattern. After a few days of this, you will likely start to see one. You might discover that you only bite your nails when you're in a specific meeting at work, which tells you the cue is likely related to the stress of that situation. You might find that you only snack late at night when you are alone, which suggests the cue is loneliness or boredom. You are reverse engineering your own behavior. At the same time, I want you to experiment with the reward. When the urge for your habit hits, instead of just giving in, try doing something different to see if it satisfies the craving. For example, if your habit is to get up from your desk and get a cookie every afternoon, on one day try getting up and just stretching for a few minutes. On another day, try walking over to a colleague's desk and chatting for 5 minutes. On a third day, try getting a cup of tea instead. The question you need to ask yourself is, after I do this new thing, do I still feel the urge for the cookie? If you stretched and the urge went away, then perhaps the reward you were seeking wasn't the cookie itself, but a simple break from work. If you chatted with a friend and the urge disappeared, maybe the reward you were craving was social interaction. If you still wanted the cookie after both of those, then maybe the craving was for the sugar rush itself. This process of observation is the most critical first step on the path to change. You cannot change a map you haven't drawn. You cannot find your way out of a forest until you first understand where you are. We live so much of our lives on autopilot that we are often complete strangers to our own motivations. We tell ourselves stories about why we do things. I just have a sweet tooth, or I'm just a procrastinator. But these are labels, not explanations. They don't give us any power. The habit loop, however, gives you power. It gives you a framework to understand the mechanics of your behavior. Remember, the goal here is not immediate change, but deep understanding. The person who tries to change a habit without understanding the cue and the reward is fighting a battle in the dark. They are swinging wildly at an enemy they cannot see. But by becoming an observer, you are turning on the lights. You are seeing the enemy for what it is, not a monster, not a character flaw, but a simple, predictable, and ultimately changeable loop in your brain. Your habits have been built up over years, brick by brick, through thousands of repetitions. You cannot expect to dismantle the entire structure overnight, but you can pull out the first brick, and that first brick is awareness. Awareness is the beginning of all transformation. For so long you may have been a passenger in your own life, driven by the invisible pilot of your habits. Now you are moving into the cockpit. You are learning to read the instruments. You are preparing to take the controls. The journey ahead will require patience and self-compassion, but know this: you are not broken. You are not lazy. You are a human being with a highly efficient brain that has learned some unhelpful patterns. And anything that has been learned can be unlearned. The pathways in your brain are not set in stone. They are more like paths in a garden. The old, overgrown paths of your bad habits are well worn, but you have the power to stop walking them. You have the power to start tending to new ones, to cultivate the habits that will lead you to the life you truly want to live. Your mission for the next few days is simple: watch, learn, and be curious. The real work of change begins with this single, powerful act of paying attention. You are capable of so much more than your habits would have you believe. It's time to start believing it. Chapter 2. Shining a light in the dark corners. How many times have you said it? That magic phrase filled with so much hope and so much potential for disappointment. I'll start on Monday. On Monday, the diet begins. On Monday, the gym membership gets used. On Monday, the smoking stops. The book gets started. The new budget is put into action. Monday is the mythical land of perfect versions of ourselves, a place where we are disciplined, motivated, and free from all our bad habits. We load up all our hopes for change and ship them off to this one day of the week, believing that its arrival will magically grant us the willpower we currently lack. But then Monday comes. Maybe we do well for a day, or even two. But by Wednesday, the gravitational pull of our old routine starts to take over. The friction of doing something new feels too great. An old cue appears, an old craving is triggered, and before we know it, we're back on the well-worn path of our old habits, telling ourselves, oh well, I'll start again next Monday. This is the "I'll start on Monday" trap, and it is a perfect illustration of why our best intentions so often fail. The trap is built on a fundamental misunderstanding of how change works. We treat change like a single, heroic event, a quantum leap from our current self to our future self. We think it requires a massive, coordinated burst of motivation and willpower. But real, lasting change is almost never like that. It's not a sprint. It's a slow, methodical process of laying one brick at a time. It's not about finding a magical day to start. It's about understanding the blueprint of your current reality before you even think about picking up a hammer. Before you can build a new house, you must first survey the land. You need to know where the solid ground is, where the swampy patches are, and where the hidden boulders lie. You cannot build a new you on a foundation you do not understand. In the last chapter, we took the first step by becoming a detective, by shining a light on one specific, chosen habit. That was our first look at the landscape. Now, we are going to zoom out. we are going to draw a full map of your daily life. We're going to illuminate all the dark corners where habits, both good and bad, have been hiding in plain sight, operating on autopilot. This process is what I call the habit audit. It is a moment of radical honesty, a personal inventory of the automatic behaviors that fill your day. This might sound intimidating, but I promise you, it is one of the most empowering exercises you will ever do. Why? Because you cannot fix a problem you are not aware of. You cannot change a habit you don't even realize you have. Most of the chains that hold us back are invisible. The purpose of the habit audit is to make them visible. Once you can see them, you can begin to break them. So, here is your next mission. I want you to take out a piece of paper and a pen, or open a new document on your computer or phone. I want you to draw a vertical line down the middle. On the left side, you're going to list your daily habits, from the absolute first thing you do when you wake up to the last thing you do before you fall asleep. I want you to be as detailed and as honest as you possibly can. No one else needs to see this list. This is for you and you alone, so there is no room for judgment, only for truth. Let's walk through what this might look like for a hypothetical person. Their list might start something like this. Wake up, turn off alarm on phone, check social media notifications, check email, get out of bed, go to the bathroom, brush my teeth, weigh myself on the scale, go to the kitchen, make a cup of coffee, drink coffee while watching the news on TV, complain about the news, get dressed for work, skip breakfast, grab a pastry on the way out the door, listen to a podcast on the commute, arrive at work, complain about the traffic, check email again, work on my most important task, get distracted by a non-urgent email, browse the internet for 10 minutes, and so on. The list should continue throughout their entire day, their lunch habits, their afternoon routines, what they do when they get home from work, their evening, right up until the moment they turn off the light. This exercise might take you a little while, but it is time well spent. You will likely be surprised at how many actions you take in a day without conscious thought. These are the scripts your subconscious mind is running automatically. Once you have this comprehensive list of your daily routines, you're going to move to the right side of the page. Next to each and every habit you've listed, I want you to place a symbol. If it's a positive habit, one that serves you and moves you closer to the person you want to be, put a plus sign next to it. For our example person, brush my teeth would get a plus sign. Work on my most important task would also get a plus sign. If the habit is a negative one, something that holds you back, drains your energy, or contradicts your goals, put a minus sign next to it. Check social media first thing would likely get a minus sign. Skip breakfast and complain about the news would almost certainly get minus signs. Finally, if the habit is neutral, if it doesn't really have a positive or negative impact, put an equal sign next to it. Things like get dressed for work or make a cup of coffee might be neutral depending on your perspective. Take your time with this scoring process. It requires you to think critically about the long-term consequences of your small, daily actions. A habit like drink coffee while watching the news might seem neutral at first. But if you realize that it consistently puts you in a negative or anxious mood to start your day, then it's not neutral at all. It's a negative habit. A habit like listen to a podcast on the commute could be a plus sign if it's an educational podcast that helps you grow. Or it could be a minus sign if it's a gossip show that just fills your head with junk. Only you can decide. The question to ask for each habit is simple. Does this behavior help me become the kind of person I want to be? If the answer is yes, it's a plus. If the answer is no, it's a minus. If it's irrelevant, it's an equal sign. When you are finished, take a step back and look at your completed habit audit. This single piece of paper is a snapshot of your life on autopilot. For many people, this is a truly eye-opening moment. They see for the first time in black and white how many small unconscious minus sign habits are scattered throughout their day. They might realize they complain far more than they thought, or that they waste an hour or more in tiny 5-minute increments of distraction. They might see how one negative habit, like checking their phone in bed, creates a domino effect, leading to a rushed morning, a skipped breakfast, and a stressful start to the day. This document is not a reason to feel bad about yourself. It is the opposite. It is a reason to feel hopeful. This is your map. You have now identified the enemy's positions. You are no longer fighting in the dark. Awareness is the greatest agent for change, and you have just gifted yourself a massive dose of it. You now have a clear, objective picture of what is actually happening, not just what you think is happening. Now comes the most important part of this chapter. Look at your list of minus-sign habits. Your immediate instinct might be to declare war on all of them at once. You might feel a surge of motivation to fix everything, to turn every minus into a plus, starting tomorrow. I am telling you now, you must resist this urge. This is the path to failure. Trying to change everything at once is the fastest way to change nothing at all. Your willpower is a finite resource, like the battery on your phone. If you try to run 10 power-hungry apps at the same time, your battery will be drained before you know it. Similarly, if you try to quit smoking, start a new diet, begin an exercise routine, and stop procrastinating all in the same week, you will burn through your willpower and self-control, and you will likely fail at all of them, leaving you feeling more discouraged than when you started. The key to lasting change is to focus your energy. You must choose one, just one. From your list of negative habits, I want you to circle the single one you will focus on changing first. How do you choose? You are not necessarily looking for the easiest one to change. Instead, you are looking for what is often called a keystone habit. A keystone habit is a particular routine that, when changed, sets off a chain reaction, causing other shifts in your behavior to happen almost automatically. Think of a stone archway. The keystone is the central wedge-shaped stone at the very top. It's not the biggest stone, but if you pull it out, the entire arch collapses. Keystone habits work in the same way, but in reverse. When you insert a positive keystone habit or remove a negative one, it can help to build a whole new structure of positive behaviors. For example, for many people, regular exercise is a keystone habit. When they start exercising consistently, they often find that they naturally start to eat better because they don't want to undo their hard work at the gym. They also tend to sleep better, which gives them more energy and focus during the day. Their stress levels decrease and their patience increases. By changing just one habit, exercise, they have inadvertently improved their diet, sleep, and mood as well. Another powerful keystone habit is tracking what you eat. Studies have shown that the simple act of writing down what you eat, without any initial goal of changing it, often leads to significant weight loss. Why? Because the act of tracking makes you aware. It forces you to confront your choices. This awareness naturally leads to making better choices. Look at your list of minus-sign habits. Which one, if you were to change it, would have the biggest positive ripple effect throughout your life? For some, it might be the habit of hitting the snooze button. Eliminating that one habit could grant you an extra 15 minutes in the morning, which would allow you time for a healthy breakfast, which in turn would give you more energy and prevent a mid-morning sugar crash. For others, it might be the habit of mindlessly spending money on small daily purchases. Changing that one habit could free up a significant amount of money, reducing financial stress and allowing you to save for a meaningful goal. For many in our modern world, the most powerful negative keystone habit is checking the phone first thing in the morning. Changing this one habit can transform your entire day from being reactive and distracted to being proactive and focused. So, choose your target. Circle that one habit. This is your starting point. This is the single thread you will pull that will begin to unravel the entire tapestry of your old self. All your energy for change, all your focus, will now be directed at this one behavior. We are not worried about the others for now. They will have their turn. For now, we are playing the long game, and we are starting with the most strategic move. Once you have your target, your single circled habit, we are going to do exactly what we did in the last chapter. But with a much sharper focus, you are going to interrogate this habit. You need to understand it inside and out. You must become the world's leading expert on this one specific personal routine. For the next few days, every time this habit occurs, you will once again take out your notebook and perform your detective work. You will use the 5 questions. Where am I? What time is it? What is my emotional state? Who else is around? What action preceded the urge? You must be relentless in your data collection. You are looking for the precise cue that triggers this routine. Let's say your chosen habit is mindless snacking in the evening. After a few days of observation, you might look at your notes and discover that the snacking doesn't happen at a specific time, but it almost always happens when you are sitting on the couch, alone, watching television, and your emotional state is almost always bored or slightly tired. Bingo. You've identified a cluster of powerful cues: a location, the couch, a state, boredom, and an activity, watching TV. Next, you need to dig deep and understand the reward you are truly seeking. Ask yourself, what feeling does this habit give me? What craving does it satisfy? Be brutally honest. With the evening snacking habit, is the reward really the satisfaction of hunger? Probably not if you've already had dinner. Is it the taste of the chips? Maybe partly, but it's more likely something deeper. Perhaps the reward is a solution to boredom. The crunching and the saltiness provide a sensory distraction from the monotony of a passive activity like watching TV. Or perhaps the reward is a feeling of comfort, a small treat at the end of a long day. It could even be a form of procrastination, a way to avoid thinking about the work you have to do the next day. Understanding the true reward is absolutely critical, because it is the key to finding a replacement. If the reward you are seeking is a distraction from boredom, then any number of other activities could provide that same reward. You could try reading a captivating book, playing a game on your phone, listening to an engaging podcast, or working on a hobby. If the reward is comfort, perhaps a warm cup of herbal tea and a cozy blanket could provide that same feeling. You must experiment. The goal is not to white-knuckle your way through the craving. The goal is to find a new, healthier routine that provides your brain with the same payoff it was getting from the old negative habit. This process of auditing, choosing, and interrogating is the strategic groundwork for change. Most people skip this entirely. They jump straight into trying to change the routine, fueled by a temporary burst of motivation, without understanding the underlying forces of the cue and the reward. And that is why they so often fail and fall back into old patterns. They are treating the symptom, the routine, without ever diagnosing the cause. You are doing it differently. You are being methodical. You are being a strategist. You are honoring the complexity of your own mind. There is immense power in this process. By simply bringing focused awareness to these automatic behaviors, you are already changing your relationship with them. You are moving them from the realm of the unconscious to the realm of the conscious. You are taking them off autopilot and putting them in manual control. And once you have manual control, you can steer yourself anywhere you want to go. So do not be daunted by the length of your list or the number of minus signs you see. See it instead as a list of opportunities. Each minus sign represents a doorway to a better version of yourself. You don't need to go through all the doors at once. You just need to choose one door, study it, understand its lock, and then, very deliberately, craft the key that will open it. This is how real, lasting change is made, not with a single heroic leap on a Monday, but with the quiet, consistent, and intelligent work of understanding yourself, one habit at a time. You have your map. You have your target. Now, it is time to plan your attack. Chapter 3. The Art of Interruption and Replacement. In our journey so far, we have turned on the lights. We have moved from being a passive passenger, driven by the whims of our unconscious habits, to being a curious and observant scientist of our own lives. You have conducted your habit audit, bravely looking at the automated scripts that run your days. You have stared at the list of pluses and minuses, not with judgment, but with a newfound clarity. And most importantly, you have chosen your target. You have selected one single keystone habit that you are ready to change. You have studied it, interrogated it, and you now have a solid understanding of the cue that triggers it and the deep underlying reward your brain is truly craving. This is a monumental achievement, one that separates you from the millions of people who are stuck in the endless cycle of, "I'll start on Monday." You have done the strategic work that most people skip, and now you are standing at a crossroads. You feel the urge of the old habit bubbling up. What do? The most common approach, the one we are all taught from a young age, is to fight, to resist, to use sheer brute force willpower to say no. We clench our fists, grit our teeth, and try to build a dam against the powerful current of our craving. This is the white-knuckle approach. For a short time, it might even work. You might be able to resist the urge for an hour, a day, maybe even a week if you're feeling particularly motivated. But willpower is a finite resource. It is like a muscle that gets tired with overuse. Every time you have to consciously say no to a temptation, you deplete your energy. And your day is filled with temptations and decisions, each one taking a small withdrawal from your willpower account. By the end of a long, stressful day, your account is empty. You are tired, your defenses are down, and the craving for your old habit comes roaring back. And at that moment, it feels impossibly strong. The dam breaks, the current washes over you, and you find yourself right back where you started, only now you're also burdened with feelings of guilt and failure. This is not a battle you can win with brute force. Trying to simply stop a bad habit is like trying to make a well-worn path in a forest disappear by staring at it. The path is there. It has been carved into the earth by thousands of footsteps. It is the default route. The grooves are deep. You cannot simply will the path away. The only way to make the old path disappear is to stop walking on it and to start, deliberately and patiently, carving a new one. You have to give yourself a better direction to walk in. This brings us to the single most important principle in the practical art of habit change. It is what I call the golden rule. You cannot extinguish a bad habit. You must replace it. This isn't just a catchy phrase. It's based on the fundamental neurology of how your brain works. Remember the habit loop. Cue, routine, reward. The cue and the reward are the powerful bookends of this process. The cue triggers a craving, and the reward satisfies it. The routine is just the bridge between the two. When you try to simply eliminate the routine, you leave the cue and the craving intact. Your brain feels the trigger, it anticipates the payoff, and when that payoff doesn't arrive, it screams in protest. It creates a vacuum of unresolved desire. The golden rule of habit change offers a much smarter, more elegant solution. It says, keep the old cue and deliver the same reward, but insert a new, more positive routine. In this way, you're not fighting your brain, you are working with it. You are honoring the craving that the cue creates, but you are choosing a healthier, more conscious way to satisfy it. You are giving your brain the payoff it wants, but you are taking a different road to get there. Over time, as you repeatedly walk this new path, it will become more defined. The grass and weeds will start to grow over the old, unused path. The new route will become easier, more automatic. Eventually, it will become the new default. This is not about eradication. It is about redirection. Let's look at how this works in the real world. A famous case study in the power of this principle comes from the story of an organization called Alcoholics Anonymous. For decades, AA has helped millions of people battle addiction, and at the core of its methodology is a masterful system of habit replacement. An addiction to alcohol is an extremely powerful and complex set of habits, but the loop is still there. A person might have many cues for drinking, feeling stressed, being in a social situation, seeing a clock hit 5 in the evening. The routine is to have a drink. But the rewards are varied and profound. The reward might be a dulling of anxiety, an escape from worries, a feeling of camaraderie with friends, or a moment of emotional release. AA doesn't just tell its members to stop drinking. It understands that this is an impossible command in the face of such powerful cravings. Instead, it provides a new routine to insert into the loop. It provides the fellowship of meetings and the support of a sponsor. When a member feels the cue, the urge to drink, they have a new routine. Call their sponsor. Talk to another person who understands. Go to a meeting. This new routine delivers many of the same rewards the alcohol did. It provides companionship, distraction, comfort, and emotional release through conversation. They keep the cue, they satisfy the craving for the reward, but they fundamentally change the routine that connects them. They are carving a new path. You don't need to be battling a major addiction to use this same powerful strategy. Let's apply it to the common habits we have already discussed. Take the example of the person who snacks on junk food every evening while watching television. They've done their detective work and realized the cue is boredom, and the reward is a form of sensory stimulation and comfort. Their old routine is to eat a bag of chips. A brute force approach would be to sit on the couch, feel the boredom, crave the chips, and just try to resist. This is a recipe for misery. A replacement approach would be to have a plan. When the cue hits, sitting on the couch feeling bored, they will insert a new routine that provides a similar reward. What could that be? If the reward is oral fixation and crunchiness, the new routine could be to eat a bowl of crunchy baby carrots or a crisp apple. If the reward is comfort, the new routine could be to make a warm, soothing cup of herbal tea. If the reward is a distraction from boredom, the new routine could be to pick up a puzzle, a coloring book, or to listen to an engaging podcast through headphones while they watch TV. The key is to experiment and find a new routine that genuinely satisfies the underlying craving. To do this effectively, you need an arsenal of weapons. You need a toolkit of strategies that allow you to interrupt the old pattern and make it easier to perform the new one. I want to share with you the two most powerful weapons in this arsenal. The first is about controlling your environment. The second is about controlling your response. Master these two, and you will become a true artist of habit change. Your first weapon is to change your playground. This is the art of manipulating your cues. Of all the strategies for breaking a bad habit, this is by far the most powerful and the most immediate. The simplest way to stop a bad habit is to avoid the thing that triggers it in the first place. You can have all the willpower in the world, but if you are constantly surrounded by the cues for your bad habits, you are fighting an unnecessary uphill battle. Self-control is a short-term strategy. A better long-term strategy is to not need it in the first place. Successful people don't necessarily have more willpower than you. They are just better at structuring their lives and their environments in a way that doesn't constantly test their resolve. They make it easy to do the right thing and hard to do the wrong thing. They are not just players in the game. They are designers of the game. This process is called environment design, and it is your secret weapon. Think about it this way. If you were trying to quit smoking, would you keep a pack of cigarettes on your desk? Of course not. That would be insane. The visual cue of the pack would constantly trigger the craving, forcing you to expend massive amounts of willpower to resist. The smart thing to do is to remove the cue entirely. You must apply this same ruthless logic to all of your bad habits. Let's get practical. I want you to think about the single bad habit you have chosen to work on. Think about the cues you identified in your detective work. Now, how can you change your environment to make those cues less visible, less obvious, and less frequent? This is a process of addition by subtraction. You are going to strategically remove the triggers from your surroundings. If your bad habit is mindlessly eating junk food, your environment design begins at the grocery store. The battle is not won in your kitchen at 10 at night when your willpower is low. The battle is won in the aisles of the supermarket. The easiest way to not eat junk food is to not have it in your house. Don't buy it. If it's not there, you can't eat it. This might sound obvious, but countless people sabotage themselves by stocking their pantries with the very temptations they are trying to resist, thinking they'll have the willpower to ignore them. Make it easier on yourself. Design your kitchen for success. Put the healthy food like fruits and vegetables at eye level in your fridge. Put the less healthy things, if you must have them, in opaque containers or on a high shelf where you can't see them and have to make an effort to get them. If your bad habit is wasting time on your phone, you need to redesign your digital and physical environment. Your phone is a slot machine designed by 1,000 engineers to keep you hooked. You cannot win a battle of willpower against it. You must change the game. First, turn off as many notifications as you can. Every buzz, every ping, every red circle is a cue designed to trigger your habit of checking the phone. Turn them off. Make your phone silent and boring. Second, redesign your home screen. Take the most distracting apps, social media, news, games, and move them off the first screen. Hide them in a folder on the last page. This simple act adds a layer of friction. Instead of unconsciously tapping the icon, you have to consciously swipe and search for it, giving you a precious moment to ask yourself, do I really want to be doing this right now? Third, and most powerfully, create physical distance. The most common cue for phone use is its mere presence. If you want to be present with your family in the evening, don't just put your phone face down on the table, leave it in another room. If you want to stop checking it first thing in the morning, do not use it as your alarm clock. Buy a cheap alarm clock and charge your phone in the kitchen or the living room overnight. By removing the cue from your immediate environment, you eliminate the need for willpower almost entirely. The same principle applies to any habit. If you watch too much television, take the batteries out of the remote and put them in a kitchen drawer. That tiny bit of added friction might be enough to make you reconsider whether you really want to watch. If you want to stop spending money impulsively online, unsubscribe from marketing emails. Remove your saved credit card information from websites, forcing you to manually enter it each time you want to buy something. You are making the bad habit more difficult, more effortful. You are adding steps to the process. Our brains are lazy. They love the path of least resistance. Your job is to make the path to your bad habit a rocky, overgrown, uphill climb. At the same time, you can use environment design to make your desired habits easier. You can make the cues for your good habits obvious and visible. If you want to drink more water, fill up a large water bottle and place it on your desk where you can't miss it. If you want to remember to take your vitamins, put the vitamin bottle right next to your toothbrush. If you want to read more, leave a book on your pillow. If you want to go for a run in the morning, lay out your running shoes, shorts and shirt the night before. They become the first thing you see when you wake up, a powerful visual cue for your desired routine. You are decreasing the friction. You are making it so easy to start your good habits that it feels harder not to do them. You are paving a smooth downhill path for your new positive behaviors. So, your first actionable task for this chapter is to become an architect of your environment. Take your targeted bad habit and brainstorm at least 3 ways you can change your environment to make the cue less visible or the routine harder to perform. And for the good habit you eventually want to build, brainstorm 3 ways you can make the cues more visible and the routine easier to start. Write them down, and then do them. This isn't just a thought exercise. Physically change your space, move the phone charger, clean out the pantry, lay out your gym clothes, take control of your playground. Now for your second weapon. Even with a perfectly designed environment, old cues will sometimes still appear. You might be at a friend's house where there's a bowl of chips on the table. You might feel a sudden wave of stress at work, the old trigger for procrastination. You cannot control the entire world. This is where your second weapon comes in, the pattern interrupt. This is the art of creating a new routine. When you feel the pull of the cue, when the craving begins, you need a pre-planned, premeditated action to take. You cannot decide what to do in the heat of the moment, because in that moment, your old habit has all the momentum. You need to have already made the decision. The most effective way to do this is by creating what psychologists call an implementation intention, but we can call it an if-then plan. It is a simple sentence that preloads your desired behavior. The formula is, if cue, then I will new routine. This is not a vague goal like I will try to eat better. It is a specific, clear plan of action. It's a simple program you write for your brain to run when a certain condition is met. Let's go back to your chosen bad habit. You know the cue. You know the reward you're seeking. Now you need to design a new routine that can be inserted into your if-then plan. The crucial factor here is that the new routine must provide a similar reward to the old one. If it doesn't, the craving will not be satisfied, and your brain will reject the new behavior. This requires you to create a menu of replacements. You're going to brainstorm a list of potential new routines that could work. Why a menu? Because on some days one option will feel right, and on other days you might need a different one. Having choices gives you flexibility and a greater chance of success. Let's build a sample menu. Imagine your targeted bad habit is procrastinating on work by scrolling through social media. Your detective work has revealed that the cue is feeling overwhelmed by a large project, and the reward is a momentary escape from that feeling of pressure and a hit of easy distraction. Your old routine is opening Instagram. What new routines could provide a similar reward? Here is a possible menu. 1. The deep breathing reset. If I feel overwhelmed by my project, then I will close my eyes and take 5 slow deep breaths. Reward, stress reduction, a mental reset. 2. The micro walk. If I feel overwhelmed by my project, then I will stand up and walk to the water cooler and back. Reward, a physical break, a change of scenery, a distraction. 3. The productive distraction. If I feel overwhelmed by my project, then I will open a language learning app and do 1 2-minute lesson. Reward, a different low-stakes mental challenge that provides a feeling of accomplishment. 4. The music shift. If I feel overwhelmed by my project, then I will put on my headphones and listen to one specific, uplifting song. Reward, an emotional shift, a positive distraction. 5. The tiny step. If I feel overwhelmed by my project, then I will pick the absolute smallest possible piece of the project and work on it for just 3 minutes. Reward reduces the feeling of being overwhelmed by creating forward momentum. Notice how each of these new routines is short, specific, and designed to deliver the same reward of mental escape or stress relief. Now, instead of a battle between work and scroll, you have a whole list of positive alternatives to choose from. You have a plan. Let's try another one. Your habit is biting your nails. The cue is feeling anxious in a meeting. The reward is a redirection of nervous energy, a physical release for the anxiety. Your if-then plan menu could look like this. 1. If I feel the urge to bite my nails in a meeting, then I will take my pen and click it 10 times. 2. If I feel the urge to bite my nails in a meeting, then I will discreetly squeeze the stress ball I keep in my pocket. 3. If I feel the urge to bite my nails in a meeting, then I will interlace my fingers and stretch them out. 4. If I feel the urge to bite my nails in a meeting, then I will take a sip of water from my bottle. Each of these provides a physical action to release nervous energy, satisfying the same core craving as the nail biting. Your second actionable task for this chapter is to create your own if-then plan with its own menu of replacements. Write down your chosen bad habits cue, write down the reward you are seeking, then brainstorm at least 5 new, positive, and short routines that could deliver a similar reward. Write them out in the if cue, then I will new routine format. Put this list somewhere you can see it, on a sticky note on your computer monitor, as the wallpaper on your phone. This is your playbook. When the game starts and the cue appears, you don't have to think. You just have to execute the play you've already chosen. Combining these two weapons, environment design and the pattern interrupt, is the core of this entire process. You are simultaneously making your bad habit harder to do and your good replacement easier to do. You are increasing the friction for the negative and decreasing the friction for the positive. You are rigging the game in your own favor. This process will not be perfect. There will be days when you forget your new routine. There will be days when you try a replacement and it doesn't satisfy the craving. There will be days when you fall back into the old pattern. This is not failure. This is data collection. When you slip up, your job is not to beat yourself up. Your job is to get curious. Ask yourself, what happened? What was different about the cue this time? Did my replacement routine not deliver the right reward? What can I learn from this? Every mistake is a lesson that helps you refine your plan. Maybe your new routine was too complicated. Maybe your environment still has a hidden cue you didn't notice. This is a journey of discovery, not a test of perfection. You are, in a very real sense, rewiring the circuits of your brain. Every time you successfully execute your if-then plan, you are strengthening the neural pathway for your new habit. You are sending a signal to your brain. Hey, there's a new and better way to get this reward. The first few times, this new path will feel awkward and unnatural. It will require conscious effort. But with repetition, it will become smoother. The signal will get stronger, and the signal for the old habit through disuse will begin to weaken. You are not just changing your behavior, you are physically changing your brain. So embrace the art of interruption and replacement. Become a master of your own environment. Create a powerful and personal plan of action. Understand that this is a skill, and like any skill, it requires practice. You wouldn't expect to play the piano perfectly after one lesson, and you shouldn't expect to break a lifelong habit after one attempt. Be patient with yourself, be persistent, and above all, be a scientist, not a judge. You have the tools, you have the strategy. You are no longer fighting a war of attrition with willpower. You are now a clever strategist, redirecting the powerful forces of your own mind toward a destination of your own choosing. The old paths do not define you, they are simply the routes you used to take. Today, you begin to walk a new way. Chapter 4, The Architect, Building Your New Self. We have spent the last chapter focused on defense. We learned how to dismantle the scaffolding of our bad habits, how to design our environment to protect us from negative cues, and how to create plans to interrupt old, destructive patterns. This is essential work. It is the act of clearing the land, of removing the weeds and rubble that have been cluttering up your life. But clearing the land is not the end goal. You don't clear a plot of land just to have it sit empty. You clear it so you can build something new, something beautiful, something strong. Now that we have our defensive strategy, it is time to go on offense. It is time to stop just playing defense against the person you no longer want to be, and to start proactively building the person you are destined to become. It is time to become an architect. One of the greatest fantasies we tell ourselves is the myth of the quantum leap. We believe that the person we want to become, the healthy, productive, knowledgeable, and peaceful version of ourselves, exists on the other side of some grand, heroic effort. We think we need a sudden, massive burst of motivation to transform overnight. We imagine a future where we wake up one day and suddenly have the discipline to exercise for an hour, the focus to meditate for 30 minutes, and the desire to eat nothing but healthy food. This is a beautiful dream, but it is also a dangerous one, because it paralyzes us. The gap between where we are now and that perfect ideal seems so vast that taking the first step feels pointless. We think, what's the use of going for a 10-minute walk when I should be running a marathon? Or, what's the point of reading one page when I have a whole library of books I want to read? So we do nothing, waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect motivational wave that will carry us all the way to our destination in one glorious ride. That wave is never coming. Real, lasting change is never a quantum leap. It is the result of 1,000 tiny steps taken consistently over time. It is the product of small, seemingly insignificant choices that, when compounded, create a monumental transformation. The Grand Canyon was not carved by a single, powerful flood. It was carved by the gentle, relentless flow of a river over millions of years. A mighty oak tree does not spring from the ground overnight. It grows from a tiny acorn, inch by inch, season after season. You will not build a new you with one heroic act. You will build a new you one brick at a time. And the secret to laying those bricks, the secret to starting and sticking with the good habits that will define your new self, is to make the bricks ridiculously, almost laughably, small. This brings us to the most practical and powerful tool for building new habits, the 2-minute rule. The rule is simple. When you start a new habit, it should take less than 2 minutes to do. That's it. Any new habit, any goal, any ambition you have for yourself must be scaled down to a version that can be accomplished in 120 seconds. I can already hear the objections. 2 minutes. That's ridiculous. How can I possibly get in shape by exercising for 2 minutes? How can I become a writer by writing for 2 minutes? This is a natural reaction because we are a culture obsessed with results. We focus on the outcome, the finish line. But when you are building a habit, the outcome is not the most important thing. In the beginning, the most important thing is simply showing up. The goal of the 2-minute rule is not to achieve world-class results on day one. The goal is to master the art of starting. The hardest part of any new habit is the beginning. It's the friction of getting off the couch, of opening the blank document, of rolling out the yoga mat. Our brains are wired to conserve energy, and starting something new and difficult requires a lot of activation energy. The 2-minute rule is a hack that bypasses this resistance. It makes the act of starting so easy, so non-threatening, that your brain doesn't have a chance to come up with excuses. It's hard to say I don't have time for something that takes 2 minutes. It's hard to say I don't have the energy for something that is almost effortless. Let's see how this works in practice. Let's take some common goals and apply the 2-minute rule. Your goal is to read more books. Your 2-minute habit is read 1 page. Your goal is to get in shape. Your 2-minute habit is put on my running shoes and walk out the front door. Your goal is to meditate every day. Your 2-minute habit is sit down and close my eyes for 60 seconds. Your goal is to keep a journal. Your 2-minute habit is write 1 sentence about my day. Your goal is to eat healthier. Your 2-minute habit is eat 1 piece of fruit. Your goal is to learn a new language. Your 2-minute habit is open my language app and do one exercise. Your goal is to keep my house tidy. Your 2-minute habit is put one thing back in its proper place. The point here is not the action itself, but what the action represents. When you read one page every night, you are not just reading a page, you are casting a vote for your new identity. You are becoming a reader. When you put on your running shoes every single morning, even if you just step outside and come right back in, you are becoming a runner. You are mastering the crucial moment of showing up. And here's the magic of it. Once you've started, it's much easier to continue. Once you've read one page, you might think, well, I might as well finish the chapter. Once you have your running shoes on and you're outside, you might as well go for a short walk or a jog. The 2-minute rule is not the end point, it is the gateway. It's a gateway habit that naturally leads you into the larger behavior you want to adopt. But on the days when you don't feel motivated, on the days you are tired and busy, you are only obligated to do the 2 minutes. This is how you stay consistent. You lower the bar for success so much that you can't help but step over it every single day. Consistency is far more important than intensity when you are building a new you. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. One single vote won't change the election. But as you cast vote after vote, day after day, the evidence begins to accumulate. Your self-image begins to shift. You are no longer someone who is trying to be healthy. You are someone who eats a piece of fruit every day. You are no longer someone who wants to be a writer. You are someone who writes one sentence every day. The habit must come before the identity, but as you perform the habit, the identity begins to take root. You are building proof to yourself that you are this new person. The 2-minute rule is your system for casting those daily votes, for laying those daily bricks in the foundation of your new identity. So, your first task as an architect is to choose just one, new positive habit you want to build. Then I want you to scale it down using the 2-minute rule. What is the 2-minute version of your desired habit? Write it down. This is your new daily minimum. This is your non-negotiable starting point. Now, having a small, easy habit is great, but you still need a way to remember to do it. You can't rely on memory or motivation. You need to integrate your new habit into the existing fabric of your life. This brings us to our second architectural tool, a technique so simple and so effective, it feels like a life hack from the future. It's called habit stacking. The principle is this: the best way to build a new habit is to link it to an existing habit. You are going to piggyback your new desired behavior onto a routine that is already deeply ingrained in your brain. The formula for habit stacking is simple. After current habit, I will new habit. Your current habits are already established neural pathways. They are superhighways in your brain that you travel down every day without thinking. Instead of trying to build a brand new road out in the middle of nowhere, habit stacking allows you to simply build a small on-ramp off of an existing superhighway. This makes it infinitely easier for your brain to find and follow the new pattern. Let's look at how to build a habit stack. First, you need a list of your current established habits. Thanks to your habit audit from Chapter 2, you already have this. Look at your list of daily routines, the things you do every day without fail. Waking up, brushing your teeth, making coffee, eating lunch, getting home from work, changing your clothes, brushing your teeth before bed. These are your anchor points. These are the solid foundations upon which you can build. Next, you take your new 2-minute habit and you stack it on top of one of these anchors. The key is to be very specific. The more specific the plan, the more likely you are to follow it. Let's say your new 2-minute habit is read one page of a book. You could create a habit stack like this. After I brush my teeth at night, I will get into bed and read one page. Brushing your teeth becomes the cue for reading. Let's say your new habit is do one push-up. Your stack could be, before my morning shower, I will do one push-up. The shower is the cue. Let's say your new habit is write one sentence in my journal. Your stack could be, after I pour my morning coffee, I will open my journal and write one sentence. The coffee is the cue. Let's say your new habit is meditate for 1 minute. A great stack would be, after I sit down at my desk to start work, I will close my eyes and meditate for 1 minute. You can even create larger stacks, a chain of small habits linked together. This is how you can create powerful and positive routines. For example, A morning routine stack might look like this. After my alarm goes off, I will drink a full glass of water that I left on my nightstand. After I drink my water, I will get dressed in my workout clothes that I laid out the night before. After I get dressed, I will do my 2-minute exercise routine. After I exercise, I will take my shower. Each action fluidly triggers the next, creating a cascade of positive behaviors with very little mental effort. You are creating a new positive form of autopilot. Your second architectural task is to create your own habit stack. Take your 2-minute habit. Look at your list of existing daily habits. Find the perfect moment, the perfect anchor to attach your new habit to. Write it down in the after current habit, I will new habit format. Be specific about the time and location. This written plan is a contract with yourself. It is the blueprint for the behavior you are about to build. Now you have a ridiculously small habit, and you have a clear plan for when and where you will do it. You have removed the friction of starting and the friction of remembering. But there is one final piece to the puzzle of building a new self. You need a feedback loop. You need a way to see your progress, to feel a sense of accomplishment, and to keep yourself motivated on the long journey. This is where our third architectural tool comes in, visual progress, or as I like to call it, the art of not breaking the chain. The famous comedian Jerry Seinfeld was once asked by a young comedian for advice on how to become better. Seinfeld told him the secret was to write jokes every single day. To ensure he did this, he got a big wall calendar, one that showed the whole year. For every day that he did his task of writing, he would put a big red X over that day. After a few days, he said, "You'll have a chain. Just keep at it, and the chain will grow longer every day. You'll like seeing that chain, especially when you get a few weeks under your belt. Your only job next is to not break the chain." This method is profoundly powerful because it taps into several key psychological drivers. First, it makes your progress tangible and visible. Building a new habit can often feel like you're making no progress. You exercise for a week and you don't see a change in the mirror. You meditate for a month and you still feel stressed. It can be discouraging. But a chain of red X's on a calendar is undeniable proof. It is a visual testament to your consistency. You can look at it and say, "I showed up. I did the work." Second, the chain itself becomes the motivation. On days when you don't feel like doing your 2-minute habit, you won't do it because you're excited about the result. You'll do it because you don't want to break the chain. You've worked hard to build that beautiful unbroken line of X's, and the thought of leaving a blank square is often more painful than the small effort required to do the habit. You are protecting your streak, and in doing so, you are reinforcing your new identity. Third, it provides an immediate sense of satisfaction. The rewards of good habits are often delayed. The reward of a healthy diet is better health months from now. The reward of saving money is financial security years from now. But putting that X on the calendar provides a little hit of satisfaction right now. It feels good to mark off a task as complete. This immediate reward helps to close the feedback loop for your brain, making the habit more enjoyable and more likely to stick. Your third and final architectural task for this chapter is to create your own system for tracking your progress. The method does not have to be fancy. The Seinfeld calendar method is my favorite because of its simplicity and visual power. Go get a calendar, hang it on your wall where you will see it every day, and get a red marker. That's it. Every day that you successfully complete your 2-minute habit, you give yourself a big, satisfying X. If a calendar doesn't work for you, find another visual method. Get 2 jars. Fill one with 100 paper clips. Every day you do your habit, move 1 paper clip from the full jar to the empty jar. The visual transfer of the paper clips represents your progress. You could use a simple notebook and just write "done" every day. You could use a habit tracking app on your phone, though I caution against this if your phone is a source of distraction. The physical, tactile nature of a calendar or a jar is often more powerful. The tool you use is less important than the act of tracking itself. Choose one method and commit to it. Your only job is to show up, do your 2 minutes, and mark it down. Don't break the chain. These 3 tools, the 2-minute rule, habit stacking, and visual progress, are your blueprint for building a new you. They work in perfect harmony. The 2-minute rule makes it easy to start. Habit stacking makes it easy to remember, and not breaking the chain makes it easy to continue. You are no longer relying on the fickle nature of motivation. You are relying on a system. You are relying on a structure you have deliberately designed. This is what it means to be an architect of your life. It means you recognize that your future self is not something you hope for, but something you build. It is built not in grand gestures, but in the quiet, humble, and consistent repetition of your daily habits. Each time you read one page, you lay a brick of knowledge. Each time you do one push-up, you lay a brick of strength. Each time you write one sentence, you lay a brick of creativity. Each time you put that X on the calendar, you are mortaring that brick into place. Alone, each brick seems insignificant, but over time, they come together to create a magnificent structure, a testament to your patience and your persistence. This is a quiet revolution. It is the gentle daily work of becoming. Look around at the empty plot of land you have cleared. You have your blueprints, you have your tools, you have your first brick. It's time to start building. Chapter 5. The Messy Middle and the Lifelong Journey. If you have followed the journey so far, you are in a remarkable position. You have moved from a place of passive frustration to one of active, conscious creation. You are no longer a victim of your own unconscious programming. You are its architect. You have learned to see the invisible loops that drive your behavior. You have conducted an honest audit of your daily life, choosing a single, strategic point to begin your work. You have learned the elegant art of replacement, not resistance, and you have begun the patient, humble work of laying one small 2-minute brick at a time, building the foundation of the person you wish to become. You have started your chain, and you have watched with satisfaction as the red X's begin to connect, forming a visible testament to your commitment. In a world that preaches overnight success and dramatic transformations, you have chosen the quieter, more powerful path of small, consistent effort. You should be immensely proud of this. You are doing the real work. But now, we must talk about what comes next. Because the beginning of a journey, fueled by the fresh energy of a new start, is often the easy part. The finish line, when the goal is in sight, also has a powerful pull. The most difficult, the most treacherous, and the most important part of any journey of transformation is the part in between. There it is, the long, unglamorous stretch of road I call the messy middle. The messy middle is where your initial motivation begins to fade. It's where the novelty wears off and the daily reality of the work sets in. It's where you will inevitably face the 3 great challenges of long-term change: the challenge of imperfection, the challenge of impatience, and the challenge of identity. This chapter is your guide to navigating this crucial territory. It is the chapter that will teach you not just how to start, but how to finish. It is the chapter that will ensure that the changes you are making today are not just a temporary fling, but a lifelong evolution. Let's begin with the first and most certain challenge you will face. You are going to slip up. It is not a question of if, but when. There will be a day when you eat the cake. There will be a day when you skip the workout. There will be a day when you scroll on your phone for an hour instead of reading your one page. There will be a day when you break the chain. In that moment, your mind will be flooded with a torrent of negative thoughts. See, I knew I couldn't do it. I'm a failure. I have no discipline. I've ruined all my progress. And then comes the most dangerous thought of all, a seductive whisper that has derailed more journeys than any other. Well, since I've already blown it for today, I might as well go all in. This is a psychological phenomenon known as the what the hell effect. It was identified by researchers Janet Polivy and C. Peter Herman through a series of fascinating studies on dieters. In a typical experiment, they would bring a group of dieters into a lab and, under the guise of a taste test, have some of them consume a high-calorie milkshake. Afterward, they would be left alone in a room with a plate of cookies and told to help themselves. The researchers found a striking pattern. The dieters who had consumed the milkshake, who felt they had already broken their diet for the day, ate significantly more cookies than those who hadn't. Their thinking went something like this: what the hell, I've already messed up my diet with that milkshake, so I might as well enjoy myself and eat all the cookies. I'll start again tomorrow. That one small slip-up didn't just cause a minor deviation, It triggered a complete collapse of self-control. This is the mindset that turns a single mistake into a catastrophe. It's the person who misses one workout and then skips the rest of the week. It's the person who has one cigarette at a party and then buys a full pack the next day. It's the person who makes one impulsive purchase and then abandons their budget entirely. This all-or-nothing thinking is the single greatest enemy of long-term progress. It frames the journey as a tightrope walk toward perfection. The moment you wobble, the moment one foot slips, you believe you have failed, and you plummet to the ground, forgetting that all you needed to do was regain your balance and take the next step. We must fundamentally reframe what a slip-up means. A mistake is not a moral failing. It is not a verdict on your character. It is not the end of the story. A mistake is simply a data point. It is feedback. It is a valuable piece of information that can make you stronger, smarter, and better prepared for the future. The moment you slip up, your job is not to descend into self-criticism. Your job is to switch from being a judge to being a detective again. You must perform a non-judgmental post-mortem on what just happened. I want you to have a plan for this moment. The next time you fall off track with your habit, I want you to take out your notebook and answer these 3 questions, not with anger, but with genuine curiosity. 1. What was the trigger? Get specific. What was the exact cue that led to the slip-up? Was it a time of day, an emotional state? Were you with a particular person or in a particular place? Perhaps you had a stressful day at work and your willpower was completely depleted, making you vulnerable to the cue for your old habit. Maybe you were in an environment you hadn't designed for success, like a birthday party filled with cake. By identifying the specific trigger, you can create a better plan for the next time you face it. 2. What can I learn from this? Every mistake carries a lesson. Perhaps you learned that trying to work out after a long, draining day is not a sustainable strategy for you, and a morning workout might be better. Perhaps you learned that when you feel a certain kind of stress, your planned replacement routine isn't strong enough to satisfy the craving, and you need to add a more powerful option to your menu. Perhaps you learned that you have a hidden cue you weren't even aware of. This isn't about making excuses, it's about refining your strategy. A general who loses a battle doesn't just call himself a failure. He studies the battlefield to understand what went wrong so he can win the war. 3. What is one small thing I can do right now to get back on track? This is the most important question. The goal is to immediately stop the downward spiral of the what the hell effect. The action doesn't have to be big. If you just ate a whole pizza, the answer isn't to go run 10 miles to punish yourself. The answer is to drink a glass of water, or to plan a healthy breakfast for tomorrow, or to simply take a few deep breaths and forgive yourself. The goal is to take one small, positive action to prove to yourself that the slip-up was a single event, not the start of a new trend. It is a statement that says, that was then, this is now. This leads us to the most powerful rule for navigating the messy middle, a rule that can single-handedly save you from the perfectionist trap. It is the rule to govern your recovery, never miss twice. This simple mantra is your lifeline. It is your ultimate insurance policy against long-term failure. Think of it this way, anyone can make a mistake. Life happens. You get sick, you have an emergency, you go on vacation, you have a terrible day. Missing your habit once is an accident. It's a random event. But missing twice, that is the start of a new habit. Missing twice is a conscious decision to start walking down the old, overgrown path again. The first miss is just a stumble. The second miss carves a new groove in the wrong direction. The never miss twice rule provides a clear, simple boundary. It transforms your approach from I must be perfect to I must not let one mistake become two. It gives you permission to be human, while still demanding that you remain committed. The power of this rule is that it short-circuits the what the hell effect. When you miss a day, you no longer think, well, I've ruined my streak, I might as well give up for the week. Instead, a different voice kicks in, a calm and resolute voice that says, okay, that happened. My only job today, my single most important priority, is to not miss again. This completely changes the game. Let's say your goal is to exercise 4 times a week. You have a terrible Monday, you're exhausted, and you skip the gym. The old you might feel defeated. The new you, the architect who lives by the never miss twice rule, simply says, okay, Monday was a miss. That means Tuesday is a must. It doesn't matter if it's your best workout. It doesn't matter if it's long. All that matters is that you show up. You can just do your 2-minute habit. You can just put on your shoes and walk for 5 minutes. The goal isn't the workout. The goal is to get back on the path, to reinforce your identity as someone who is in charge of their habits. To make this rule even more effective, you should have a get back on track plan. This is a predefined, incredibly easy action that you commit to taking the day after you miss. If your habit is writing, your get back on track plan might be to just write 1 sentence. If your habit is eating healthy, your plan might be to just eat 1 apple. The purpose is to make the act of recovery as frictionless as possible. On the day after a failure, your motivation will likely be at its lowest. That is precisely when you need the bar for success to be on the floor. You must make it almost impossible not to get back on track. Embracing imperfection and living by the never miss twice rule will build something far more valuable than a perfect, unbroken chain. It will build resilience. Resilience is the true superpower of lasting change. It is the ability to get knocked down and get back up, not with shame, but with wisdom. A perfect streak is fragile. It can be shattered by a single unexpected event. But a person who has learned to recover from mistakes, who has practiced the art of getting back on track dozens of times, is anti-fragile. They don't just survive setbacks, they get stronger because of them. So do not fear the slip-up. Expect it. Plan for it. And when it comes, see it for what it is, an opportunity to practice the most important skill of all, the skill of beginning again. Now we must address the second great challenge of the messy middle, the challenge of impatience. This is the silent killer of motivation. When we start a new habit, we are filled with expectations. We imagine a linear, upward path to success. We think that if we put in the effort, we should see the results immediately. But reality rarely works that way. In almost every area of life, the results of our efforts are delayed. Progress is not linear, it is exponential. It starts slow, almost invisibly, and then only after a long period of consistent effort does it begin to compound and become visible. This period of seemingly wasted effort, where you are putting in the work but seeing no tangible reward, is called the plateau of latent potential. It is a vast valley of disappointment, and it is where most people give up. Imagine you have an ice cube sitting in a room. The temperature in the room is 25 degrees. You decide you want to melt the ice cube, so you begin to slowly raise the temperature. You raise it to 26 degrees. Nothing happens. 27. Still an ice cube. 28, 29, 30, 31. You have been putting in all this energy, raising the temperature by 6 degrees, and you have absolutely nothing to show for your work. The ice cube looks exactly the same as when you started. This is the plateau of latent potential. It is profoundly discouraging. You start to think, this isn't working. My effort is being wasted. You might be tempted to quit. But then you raise the temperature 1 more degree to 32, and suddenly, a change begins to happen. The ice cube begins to melt. The transformation you were working for all along finally becomes visible. The crucial lesson here is that all that work you did from 25 to 31 degrees was not wasted. It was being stored. It was building up the potential for a phase shift. The big change didn't happen in 1 degree. It happened because of all the degrees that came before it. This is a perfect metaphor for habit change. You start eating healthy. For the first 2 weeks, you step on the scale and the number is exactly the same. You feel like you're sacrificing for nothing, but your body is changing on the inside. Your metabolism is adjusting. Your cells are storing the potential for change. You start learning a new language. For the first month, you feel like you can barely string 2 words together. It seems hopeless. But in your brain, new neural connections are forming, storing the potential for fluency. You start saving a small amount of money. For the first year, your account balance looks pitifully small. It feels like you'll never reach your goal. But the power of compound interest is storing the potential for wealth. The problem is that we live in a world that conditions us for instant gratification. We expect to see the results now. When we don't, we assume our process is broken, but the process is not broken. Your work is not being wasted. You are simply on the plateau. you are storing potential. The stonecutter who strikes a rock 100 times without a single crack showing is not failing. Each blow is weakening the internal structure, setting the stage for the one blow that will finally split it in two. The 101st blow didn't split the rock. All 101 blows did. So how do you survive this valley of disappointment? How do you keep going when you can't see the results of your hard work? You must fall in love with the process, not the product. You must shift your focus from the outcome to the system. This means you must stop measuring your success by your results and start measuring it by your consistency. Your goal is not to lose 20 pounds. Your goal is to not break the chain of eating a healthy lunch. Your goal is not to write a novel. Your goal is to not break the chain of writing for 2 minutes a day. When you focus on the outcome, your happiness is always in the future. You will only be satisfied when you hit the goal. The entire journey becomes a stressful, anxiety-ridden grind, but when you focus on the process, you can find satisfaction every single day. Every time you put an X on your calendar, you win. Every time you show up and do your 2 minutes, you win. You are not waiting for happiness. You are creating it with every small act of discipline. This creates a powerful, positive feedback loop that is independent of your external results. To help you with this shift, I want you to redefine what success means for your habit. Create a process goal that is entirely within your control. For example, instead of lose 10 pounds in a month, an outcome you can't directly control, your process goal is move my body for 20 minutes every day, an action you can control. Instead of get a promotion at work, an outcome dependent on others, your process goal is spend the first hour of my day on my most important task without distraction, an action you can control. By focusing on the process, you detach your sense of self-worth from the immediate results. You learn to trust that if you just keep showing up, if you just keep putting in the work and storing that potential, the ice cube will eventually melt. The rock will eventually split. The results will come not on your impatient timeline, but when the conditions are right. Your only job is to keep raising the temperature 1 degree at a time. Your only job is to keep tapping the stone. Your only job is to not break the chain. Patience is not the ability to wait. It is the ability to keep a good attitude while you are working. This brings us to the final and most profound challenge and opportunity of the messy middle, the evolution from doing to being. This is the ultimate goal of our work together. We are not just trying to change what you do, we are trying to change who you are. This might sound like a grand and abstract idea, but it is the most practical and powerful concept of all. At its core, every habit you have, good or bad, is tied to your sense of identity. You continue to smoke because you see yourself as a smoker. You continue to procrastinate because you believe you are a procrastinator. You struggle to exercise because you don't yet see yourself as an athletic person. The deepest form of change is a change in identity. Think about it this way. Imagine two people trying to quit smoking. Someone offers them a cigarette. The first person says, "No thanks, I'm trying to quit." This person still sees themselves as a smoker who is currently resisting their identity. They are fighting against who they believe they are. This is a battle of willpower. The second person says, "No thanks, I'm not a smoker." This is a statement of identity. It signals a fundamental shift in their self-perception. For this person, refusing a cigarette is not an act of resistance. It is a natural expression of who they are. They are not fighting an urge. They are simply acting in alignment with their new identity. It is far easier to maintain habits that align with your identity than it is to maintain habits that conflict with it. So how do you build a new identity? You cannot just decide to be a new person. It doesn't work that way. The process is much more subtle, and it brings us full circle to the beginning of our work. Your identity emerges out of your habits. You are not born with a preset identity. You build it through your actions. Every action you take is, as we've said, a vote for the type of person you want to become. When you make your bed in the morning, you cast a vote for being an organized person. When you go to the gym, you cast a vote for being an athletic person. When you read a book, you cast a vote for being a knowledgeable person. When you encourage a colleague, you cast a vote for being a kind person. A single vote does not make you that person. It won't change your beliefs overnight. But as the votes pile up, as the evidence accumulates, You begin to change the story you tell yourself. You start to see yourself differently. You start to believe you are that person. This creates a beautiful feedback loop. Your habits shape your identity, and then your new identity makes it easier to stick with your habits. Once you start to see yourself as a runner, it becomes much easier to go for a run on a cold, rainy morning, because that's what runners do. Once you see yourself as a writer, it becomes easier to sit down and face the blank page, because that's what writers do. The goal, then, is not to chase a result, but to embody an identity. Before you start building a habit, ask yourself, who is the type of person I want to become? And then ask, what would that type of person do? A healthy person would probably take the stairs. A creative person would probably carry a notebook. A financially responsible person would probably review their budget. Then, use your small 2-minute habits to start casting votes for that identity. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to build a body of evidence. If you cast 100 votes for being a healthy person and 10 votes for being an unhealthy person, you know which identity is going to win. This is why the never miss twice rule is so crucial. Missing once doesn't really challenge your new identity, but missing twice sends a strong vote in the other direction. To accelerate this process, you can create an identity statement. This is a simple present tense declaration of who you are becoming. For example, I am a writer. I write every day. Or, I am an athlete. I move my body with strength and joy. Or, I am a calm and patient person. I respond to challenges with mindfulness. Write this statement down. Read it every morning. This is not about lying to yourself. It is about priming your brain. It is a reminder of the person you are actively building with your daily votes. You are providing your subconscious mind with a clear target to aim for. The messy middle is where you earn your new identity. It's in the quiet moments of choosing the apple over the chips. It's in the decision to get back on track after a slip-up. It's in the patient tapping of the stone when you see no cracks. It's in the casting of another small vote, day after day after day. This is the lifelong journey. The goal is not to reach a final destination called the new you, where all your problems are solved. The goal is to become the kind of person who is always growing, always learning, always building. The goal is to become an architect not just of a single project, but of a lifetime of them. You now have the skills to handle imperfection, to endure the plateaus, and to consciously shape your own identity. You are ready for the long road. You are ready for the beautiful, messy, and rewarding work of becoming. Conclusion: you are the architect. We have come to the end of our time together, but we have truly just arrived at the beginning of your journey. Over the course of these chapters, we have traveled from the deepest, most ancient parts of your brain to the practical, everyday reality of your kitchen counter. We have explored the hidden forces that shape your life, and we have armed you with a set of simple, powerful tools to take control of those forces. You began this book perhaps feeling like a passenger, driven by habits you didn't understand and couldn't control. My hope is that you now see yourself in a new light. You are not the passenger. You are not even just the driver. You are the architect, the designer, and the builder of your own life. Let's take one final walk through the blueprint we have created together to solidify the knowledge you now possess. This is not just a summary, it is a reminder of the power you have unlocked at each stage of this process. First, you surveyed the very machinery of your mind. You learned about the invisible pilot, the brilliant but impartial autopilot in your brain that automates your life to conserve energy. You discovered the secret code behind every habit, the simple 3-part neurological loop of cue, routine, and reward. This was the moment you turned on the lights. By understanding this loop, you moved from a world of confusion and self-blame to a world of clarity and mechanics. You realized your bad habits were not a sign of moral weakness, but simply a case of a well-oiled machine running an outdated program. This knowledge alone is a revolution, because it transforms the problem from what's wrong with me to what's wrong with my system. And systems can always be redesigned. Second, you bravely decided to draw a map of your own territory. With the habit audit, you shone a light into all the dark corners of your daily routine, patiently listing out the automated behaviors that fill your days. You took stock, separating the habits that were serving you from those that were holding you back. This act of honest self-assessment is something few people ever do. And then, with the wisdom of a seasoned strategist, you resisted the urge to fight a war on all fronts. You chose your first target. You selected a single keystone habit, understanding that by changing this one crucial behavior, you could create a positive cascade of change throughout your entire life. You chose to be focused and deliberate, not frantic and overwhelmed. Third, armed with this knowledge, you learned the elegant and powerful art of habit warfare. You learned that you cannot win a battle of attrition against your cravings through sheer willpower. You learned the golden rule of habit change. You must replace, not eradicate. You learned to work with the grain of your own psychology, keeping the old cue and delivering the same reward, but consciously inserting a new and better routine. You became a designer of your own environment, learning to make your bad habits invisible and difficult, while making your good habits obvious and easy. You learned to rig the game in your favor, and you crafted your if-then plans, your preloaded responses to the inevitable triggers of life, ensuring that you had a better path to walk down when the old urges called to you. Fourth, you moved from defense to offense. You took on the role of the architect and began the joyful work of building. You embraced the profound power of starting small with the 2-minute rule, understanding that the goal at the beginning is not to achieve results, but to master the art of showing up. You learned to make your new habits effortless to remember by using habit stacking, linking them to the established routines of your life. And you created a system of visual progress, a chain of X's on a calendar, to provide yourself with immediate satisfaction and a powerful motivation to keep going, transforming the act of building a habit from a chore into a game you wanted to win. And finally, in our last chapter, you prepared yourself for the realities of the long road ahead. You learned to navigate the messy middle, where the real work is done. You learned to see slip-ups not as failures, but as valuable data points, and to live by the resilient mantra of never miss twice. You armed yourself with the patience to endure the plateau of latent potential, learning to fall in love with the process, and to trust that your efforts are storing the power for a great change to come. And most importantly, you understood that the ultimate goal is not just to do new things, but to become a new person. You learned that every action you take is a vote for your identity, and that by patiently casting those votes day after day, you can fundamentally change the story you tell yourself about who you are. This is your toolkit. This is your blueprint. These ideas are simple, but they are not simplistic. Their power lies in their consistent application. The true magic is not in the knowledge itself, but in the doing. And the effects of this doing are more profound than you can possibly imagine, because of a principle that governs all of nature, the principle of compounding. We often convince ourselves that change is only meaningful if it is massive and immediate. We look for the one big break, the one home run that will win the game. But small habits, like small deposits in a bank account, compound over time. The effects of your habits multiply as you repeat them. On any given day, doing your 2-minute habit might seem insignificant. The difference between eating a salad and eating a burger for lunch today is negligible. The difference between reading one page and watching one more episode on television tonight seems like nothing. But fast forward 1 year or 5 years or 10 years. The person who consistently chose the salad is likely in a vastly different state of health. The person who consistently read one page has consumed dozens of books and is in a different intellectual world. There is a beautiful piece of mathematics that illustrates this. If you can get just 1% better each day for 1 year, you will end up over 37 times better by the time you're done. 37 times better. Conversely, if you get 1% worse each day, you will decline down to almost zero. What starts as a small, seemingly insignificant choice, a tiny gain or a minor loss, compounds into something enormous. Your habits are the compound interest of self-improvement. A small habit, a tiny choice, is like an atom. On its own, it's not much. But when you string them together, they build molecules, which build cells, which build organisms. Your life today is essentially the sum of your habits. The life you will have in 5 years will be the sum of the habits you build today. This is the most empowering and perhaps the most sobering truth of all. The future is not something that happens to you. It is something you are building right now in this very moment with the choice you are about to make. The choice to get up from the couch, the choice to put down your phone, the choice to say one kind word, the choice to take one deep breath. These are the moments that matter. These are the moments where your future is forged. Please do not mistake this message for one of pressure or perfection. The purpose of this book is not to add another layer of things you should be doing to your already busy life. It is the opposite. It is to give you a framework for focusing on the few things that truly matter. It is to give you permission to start smaller than you think you should. It is to give you the grace to forgive yourself when you stumble, and the simple instruction to just get back on track. This is a lifelong construction project. You will never be finished, and that is the beauty of it. There is always a new wing to add, a garden to cultivate, a room to redecorate. Life will present you with new challenges, and you may find old unhelpful habits trying to creep back in during times of great stress. But you are no longer defenseless. You are an architect. You have your blueprints. You have your tools. You know how to survey the land, how to clear the rubble, how to lay a foundation, and how to build brick by patient brick. This audiobook is a starting point, a map for your journey. But the conversation doesn't have to end here. The process of building a better self is a daily one, and it's easier when we continue to learn and grow together. If you found value in these ideas, if they sparked something in you and you want to keep that momentum going week after week, you can find more discussions and tools right here. We are constantly diving into the art of living a more intentional life, exploring the mechanics of the mind, and sharing strategies for personal growth. The journey is just beginning, and I look forward to taking the next steps with you.